I just don't see where the videos are when I define them.
Go down the side, videos, hit videos, broadcast a video, hit those three dots, and there they all are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 videos.
Good. Perfect. Okay.
Right? And then we're not going to turn on, so when you hit those, you're not going to enable volume, because that's for you to hear it. Even though you don't hear anything, they're going to hear it, right?
And once the video is done, will it just disappear?
Yeah, you're going to pop back up. So turn on your camera and stuff right now. Did you turn on your webcam?
It's not going on. It's a little camera at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Turn on your webcam? Yeah, it's not going on. It's a little camera at the top, right? Mm-hmm. Mike, and I'm on. Hey guys, Dr. Dusa here. I know it's 3 minutes after 7, and we warned you. We warned you that I'd have some technical difficulties. I know it's
Dr. Dusa, turn your mic on. Turn your mic on. Hit the mic button.
Okay, you got that now?
Yep, you're on now. Good.
Okay. I was getting some feedback. Sorry.
Dr. Dusa, turn your mic on.
Yeah, you get the feedback through the thing. That's why you need a headset. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. I was getting some feedback. Sorry.
Turn the volume down on your computer and then just talk.
I got it. Okay, that should be better now.
Yeah, there you go.
Matt, can you hear me?
You're perfect now. I'm
okay, good. Sorry. Hopefully there's no more glitches. Dr. Dusa here, building big arms with a good peak. I know I've got a bunch of people on here already. Told you there'd be some technical difficulties. This is all new to me. Again, don't worry about the delivery so much. Make sure you get the message. Some of my writing that you see, sometimes the sentence structure is not very good, or the grammar is not very good. I spell some words incorrectly. I don't always go back and correct them, only because a lot of times people alert me to this, and that's a good thing because then I know they're reading my stuff, which is really all I want to do is make sure you get the information you need. And I tend to think to make things not so complicated because they're really not. Talking about arms tonight, really I'm about the total body and feeling good and staying young. But a lot of people want to know about arms. I've got pretty good arms and pretty good abdominals. I'm a 54-year-old guy. I think I've been able to kind of stave off the aging clock a little bit. And, you know, a lot of times you hear about, I was talking to somebody in the gym the other day and they were talking about genetics. It's all genetics. And that's all there is to it. That's true, and that's also not true. When I was younger, I wanted to be like Rich Gaspari, one of the best bodybuilders ever. We were both 19 at the time. He had already won Mr. Universe. I couldn't even win teenage Mr. Connecticut. I think our effort was probably close to being equal. We both worked really, really, really hard, yet he was about 50 pounds bigger than me. That's genetics. There's nothing you can do about that. On the other hand, if you look at somebody and they look a lot better than you, and right away in your head you're defeating yourself and you're saying, I just can't do that because I don't have the genetics, you're selling yourself short. For a short time, I worked out with a guy named Henry Rollins. He's a singer from Black Flag. He's in movies now and stuff. This is out in my Chicago days many years ago, and he saw how hard I was working out. And he said to me, man, you're really getting down to the bare bones. And you probably heard me use this line. I go, what do you mean? You're finding out what it's all about, Mike. He saw how hard I was working, and he worked really hard too. And I carry that with me to this day. The only way to really know how far you can go with anything is to forget about your genetics and go all out. Because if you don't do that and you hold yourself back, I guarantee you're going to look in the mirror at night. And, you know, when you ask yourself, have I done all that I can? And I do that every night. The answer is going to be a resounding no. For me, hopefully I come close, but for a lot of people, they don't even come close because they self-limit themselves with things like genetics. Now, you're only going to go as far as you can go, obviously, but with all-out effort, you're going to go as far as you can. And you might get a peaked arm, you might get a big arm, you may not have cuts, you may have cuts. It depends on diet too. I've got some videos that I'm going to show. They're relatively short videos. They're specific maneuvers that I use to peak the bicep. But the funny thing is, it's not really working the bicep itself, okay? It's really working the middle muscle called the brachialis, and that's the side of the arm. And a lot of people skip that. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you a video right now. And let me just find them on here. Just give me a second. Videos. Let's look at hammer curls. This is a short video. Watch closely right here. And if you could see that,
That's cool.
okay, so those are hammer curls. They're called different types of curls, but essentially the palm is not up; it's to the side like this. When you bring your palm up, you're activating the bicep. You keep the palm like this, you're activating the muscles on the side of the arm. Now you've got the tricep. you've got the bicep, okay, you've got the brachialis. By working the brachialis, okay, this muscle between the bicep and tricep, I know this sounds kind of like bro science, but by building that muscle in between the bicep and the tricep, that will actually work to push the bicep up and give you a peak. It also gives you a lot of detail on the side of the arm. Now remember, understand something, if your diet is crap and you're not eating lean, you're going to have these big bulky arms, but you're not going to show much of a peak. You're just not. It's going to be like a newly opened jar of Skippy peanut butter. It's going to be smooth, and you're not going to see that prominent peak if you have it. Now, some people have a bicep that goes all the way down to the elbow. They may have a fuller bicep, not as peaked. Some people might have a bicep that ends at the middle of the arm. You'll have more of a peak. That is a genetic predeterminant, but you still got to work it really hard. You still have to work the side of the arm, the brachialis. Another thing you see now, a lot of younger guys or even older guys, they have big deltoids, okay, but not much of an arm. It's very strange, and they curl tremendously heavy weights. I mean, we've got a 100-pound barbell, 125 pounds, even more so, but with very poor form when they're rocking back and forth like that. You got to understand the first couple of degrees of movement is upper arm bone. Okay, it's deltoid. Okay, it's humerus. But after that, you've got to activate the bicep. Okay, if you're not focusing, and if you're thinking about doing too much weight, you're going past that and you're rocking, and it really becomes a deltoid exercise. So you see these guys who are rocking like this, and because their goal is just to move the weight and not work the muscle. It's really a front deltoid exercise. That's what ends up happening. So really, you got to focus. You got to have that mind-muscle connection. You got to think of the bicep. You got to be able to watch a person from a far off distance, and they got to be so focused on that body part. You can just see, wow, that guy's working biceps. Whereas, somebody throwing weight like this, it's like, what the hell are you doing? You're moving in your mind. Yeah, I'm curling 100 pounds, but you're really not curling it. You're just moving it. It's like Frank Zane says, the weight is an abstract to the muscle. The muscle only knows resistance. It doesn't know the amount of weight. I've never gone, for the most part, above a 25-pound dumbbell to curl and build my arms. And when I'm in top shape, my arm is 18 inches cut, and that's a pretty big arm. I think Frank Zane, at his biggest, won the Olympia with a 19-inch arm. So again, it's really not size. Ladies may say this, but size does not matter. It's really how the muscle appears. And the leaner you are, and the more correct you are in exacting with your exercise and working that bicep and the brachialis on the side, the more of a peak you're going to have. Let's look at another video because I've got a few. Let's see here. Okay, now we'll look at one of my favorites, plate curls. I learned these from Evan Centopani, okay, one of the best IFBB bodybuilders in the world currently right now. Now, he's 300 pounds. He's literally 100 pounds, more than 100 pounds heavier than me. Very smart guy. Really knows his stuff. Can go toe-to-toe with anybody with nutrition and biomechanics. Let's take a look at this plate curl. Okay, we're going to play this, pop up in a second. Okay, a little bit of an excuse here now. I was looking kind of thin there, a little rangy. That was last year. I was just turning 53. The previous year, I overcame a really bad injury and sickness. I had to lose a ton of weight. You heard all those sad stories. So I got really super lean. But what did I just do in that exercise? You think about the dumbbell hammer curls. That's very similar, only it's with a plate. So your grip is fixed, and there's more of a concert or union of both arms, whereas when you're using dumbbells, you have a little more freedom of movement. There may be an incongruency in movement from one side to the other. I have a little bit of a shoulder injury going on this side, so sometimes it's a chronic thing, so there's a little bit of an incongruency. It's a little better for me to use dumbbells when the shoulder's kicking up, but sometimes I'm feeling pretty good. I'll use the plate curl. I was very lean there. Let's go to another one of those videos. I don't think I'm doing too bad here as far as navigating all this. don't think I'm sucking that bad. Got quite a few people visiting, so that's good. I'm happy about that. Now this is a plate curl at a different body weight. Hopefully you're paying attention earlier. This was about probably 3 months before this. I'm going a little lighter, but I'm pumping these out. But again, it's the same biomechanics. I'm still working the side of the arm. These muscles here, the brachialis, which is going to push up on the bicep to make it peak. I mean, I know it's against your conventional thinking where why isn't he working the bicep to make it peak? That's part of it. But too many people neglect this muscle right here, and that's why they never get that peak. And to me, it's very frustrating. I see these guys today, and a lot of them don't have a peak on their bicep. It's very strange. It's almost like there's been a de-evolution from maybe 25 years ago where the human body has inherently and physiologically and biomechanically changed, which isn't possible because evolution doesn't work that way. Let's watch this one. Now, I just read an article today. You know, you see I'm taking that plate. It's almost like I'm kissing it. I am touching it to my nose and my face, and I do know I have an oversized nose. That's nothing new to me. I read an article today that weightlifting and gym and fitness equipment is probably dirtier than truck stop bathroom fixtures. So I got to kind of watch that. That being aside, and me assuring you that I don't have any diseases from weights or anything like that, you notice that I'm touching and I'm focusing and I'm bringing that up and I'm pinching the weight. I'm not just moving it. I'm thinking about the bicep, the peak, and I'm thinking about, you know, squeezing this and getting the peak out, and I'm working that muscle right there. And another thing I do is when I bring it down, I don't know what you can see here. I don't know how good the lighting is in here, but when I bring it down, I squeeze and I involve the triceps as well. Okay, and I think it's important to do that because you're less likely to get injured while doing any type of maneuver or exercise in the gym. And there are exceptions when the muscle remains under tension. When you tend to loosen up, a lot of times that's when you do get injured. So when I'm doing a movement like this, I'm very, very much, you know, not to wax too much in the cliche of mind-muscle connection. I'm very, very in tune with that. I'm thinking about how I want the bicep to look. And it's almost like I'm posing the arm, okay? It's like I've got weight, but I'm posing it. Each time I'm letting it stretch and I'm squeezing it, and it's almost like I'm posing it, and I just happen to have resistance in my hand. And I'm telling you, when you do that, I challenge you. Now, that last video, I only had a 25-pound plate. I had done a 45-pounder before that, and I'm not a really, really strong guy. But I got a good 15 reps with that, and then I was burning them out to infuse even more blood in there, okay? I was just reading something about occlusion training where you tie off the joints, and that's interesting because there's some promise in that type of, and I'll do another webinar on that type of training. I'm not going to get into that now, but that is promising for older guys, because when you do the occlusion training where you use like a rubber tubing and you keep the blood in the limb and it keeps the blood there, to get the positive effect of that action, you don't have to go as heavy, okay? I've always said that I am very, very good at making a lightweight feel heavy. You see, guys, I was never very strong, and I knew inherently that I wasn't going to be very strong. I've been injured many, many times. I've had 30 surgeries. I'm up to 30 now, not that anybody's counting, and that's not something to be proud of. Some people are kind of, in a weird way, they're very boastful of their injury history, and trust me, I'd rather feel good, be teeming with energy, and running like Carl Lewis or anyone like that. Not that I can, but you know, you're not in the gym to injure yourself. And my whole thing is, when I'm in top shape, look, I look like I can curl 60-pound dumbbells. To some people, I look like I can bench 300 pounds. that would cut me in two. I can't even come close. I know some of the people that know me here, they're probably laughing right now. Like, man, that dude, are you kidding? Look, I've been doing this for 41 years. All right. The body wears down. You can rah-rah it all you want as far as saying, I'm going to make a comeback. Guys over 50 can still build big legs. Listen, the sands of time are no man's ally. Okay. Right now, it's a game where I like to be better than I was, but in a different way. Dealing with a lot of injuries, you do not use as an excuse. I've got a guy I consult with right now, and he talks about his concussion history, and he doesn't talk about what he can do. So again, I mentioned earlier I have a shoulder issue right here. It's quite painful at times, but I still work my shoulders. I still work my arms. My arms are still close to 18 inches, and maybe 17 right now. I don't know. They vary, all right, depending upon how porky I get. My variance, I know my numbers. I know where I feel best at. 185 to 192. Right now I'm a little lighter. I just got over an illness. Go by how you feel. Okay, you do that. You do these exercises I'm showing you. I'm going to tell you right now, they work for me. If it does not feel right to you, and you're doing them with biomechanical correctness, proper posture, your rep scheme is good. You're not looking at some girl's ass while you're, for fuck's sake. I told my guy I wasn't going to swear a lot, but I'm sorry. Words that are packed with punch. All right. Listen, if you're a grab ass in there, you're going to get hurt. You're going to look like nothing. And you're going to diss guys like me. That Dusa, he don't know shit. That Dusa, he sucks. Listen, there's a lot of things I do, but sucking ain't one of them. All right. I'm willing to learn. I'll learn from you. You'll learn from me. But I know how to build good arms. And when I'm in top shape, I think I have pretty damn impressive arms. Boyer Coe, some of you might know who he is. Some of the best arms in history. When I was 22, he was a guest poser at a show, and he told me, he says, you have good arms. Good split in that bicep, Mike. I carry that with me to this day, and that's a good lesson for all of us because, words are important to lift other people. And, just a couple of – here I am quoting something that was said to me 32 years ago when I was 22. I just turned 54. And it still has an impact to me. It still makes me feel good. It still makes me feel relevant. It makes me feel like I counted for something. I mean, in the pantheon of bodybuilding champions, I'm not even the whipping boy that takes care of the facility. I know that. It doesn't matter. I'm the best mediocre bodybuilder you'll ever meet. But that's kind of a boast and kind of a self-effacement, and I get away with it nicely, I think. I should trademark that. But as far as arms go, got another video because I am rambling a little. Got one more video, I think, here. Cross-body hammer curls. Now, these are called Zotmans. In this video, I'm talking about tricep. Okay, this is a tricep movement, but really it's also a brachialis. Remember, the muscle right here. It's also a brachialis move. And of course, it's a bicep move. It's all of those because I'm being mindful of feeling the stimulation in each one of those muscles as I go through the movement, okay? And another thing, before I show this video, I did these for years hunched over, okay? Hunched over because I thought I could get more into my arms by just leaning over. I learned from Evan. Evan watched me, Evan Centopani, who helped me a lot this year. Great guy. Congratulations, you just had another baby, or your wife did, Evan. Good job. He says, Mike, when you work out, you want to stand with a good posture. You want to always hold yourself like you're walking around in public because that's how the body performs properly, okay? Why would you get into a position to do anything where you wouldn't usually carry yourself like that out in public? It makes a lot of sense, and it's a good way to focus on the muscle itself. You'll see when I do these right now, the cross-body hammer curls is a little over a minute. So let's watch this and see. Go. So triceps, I work in many different ways. That's 2/3 of the upper arm. There are hammer curls or Zotman curls, a hammer you do on the side of your body, Zotman's in the front. It's for the brachioradialis region, the side of the arm. I also kind of add a little twist where I make it incorporate the tricep. I'll show you how I do that. Some people call it a finishing move, whatever that means. It's just another exercise to me. Let me show you what they look like. And what I do is I squeeze the tricep at the bottom, okay? So I just don't bring it up. When I bring it up, I squeeze it, but I also actively push my tricep down like that. Okay, and you can see it pop. And I like coming across my chest. And you really want to not just let it hang, you want to squeeze it like that. So it's all focus. You focus really hard. Don't need a lot of weight. Because let me tell you, you get tendonitis in your elbows, that is a bitch. On to the next one. Now, I couldn't hear that. You could hear it, but I think at the end, if you get elbow tendonitis, it is very painful. I've gotten it right here. I mean, it can become so painful that you can't even let your body or your body part touch anything. Those cross-body hammer curls are very, very effective. For me, they probably give me the best peak as far as doing my sidearm exercises. Again, they're called Zopmans. As far as a tricep component of that, when I let it come down, I squeeze the tricep. Okay, I don't just let it hang. I don't think you should ever do that. So really, it's even though I'm not putting a load on the tricep, I am flexing it. Okay, which is important for total upper arm development. But again, you're working that brachialis right there, okay? It's like a little knot, and that's going to help give you the peak, okay? And another thing with the crossbody hammer curls, it works the brachioradialis, which is a muscle that runs into the forearm. So it's going to give you a little bit of forearm development. Now, my forearms are they're not very big. And in fact, big Alan Rogers, the Canadian Colossus, always challenges me. I think he's got 19-inch forearms or something like that. Now, I've already told you my arms range from, my upper arms range from 17 to 18 inches. My forearms are, I don't know, they're probably like 13 inches. And when you hear about that number, it's not very impressive. But again, it's all about balance. It's all about what you want. And for me, what I want is I want total body balance, okay? I want to be the best I can be. I want to I don't want anything to really stand out, okay? I think if you're into bodybuilding, you're just an older guy, you want to get in shape. Females, a lot of guys I work with just don't want a gut hanging over. They want to be able to tuck in their shirt without a gut hanging out, okay? Then I've got some bodybuilders I work with. I try to tell them all the time, listen, the best bodybuilders, nothing stands out. And they're like, what does that mean? This doesn't even make sense. I'm like, sure it does. Listen, if everything, again, everybody talks about symmetry. That's very symmetrical. Nobody is symmetrical, because symmetry is you cut the body straight in half like that, and you should have two mirror images. That's not possible. You're really talking about proportion. In other words, your arms don't overpower your calves. Your upper body doesn't overpower your lower body. Tom Platz, nothing against him, not being negative, but you know, he was all legs. His upper body was overshadowed, and that's imbalance. To stand out for anything in this world, to be the best at anything, is almost impossible, and he had the best legs ever. So we got to give him that. But that's not really what we're looking to do here. So when I look at my forearms, are they in concert? I don't think they're so bad that people say, oh my God, look at those stick forearms. Because I do work them. I'm mindful of them. And remember, forearm muscle and calf muscle, they're very, very dense muscles. You're always walking on your feet, and you're always using your hands. So those muscles are very, very dense in those areas. They're harder to get to respond because you're using them all the time anyhow. So there are some guys who have tremendous forearms. They don't work them at all. Okay, they get indirect work. Even the next webinar coming up is for abdominals, and I've got fairly decent abdominals. I think if I'm known for anything, I'm known for really good abs. From doing tens of thousands of reps per day when I was younger. Don't recommend that. Now I do maybe 60 or 70. But there was a bodybuilder in the 70s who is no longer with us, God rest his soul. I met him when I was a young kid. His name was Ron Tufel. He was an AAU Mr. America, and he should have won it one year where he didn't. He had the best abs. And I remember asking him as a kid, I go, what exactly do you do for your abs? He looked at me, he goes, nothing. I'm like 13 or 14 years old, and I knew he had to be full of hooey, as they said in the old days. But really what he told me was he was tremendously strong. This ties into arms too, by the way, and I'll tell you how in a second. but his abdominals, he never worked them directly. When he said when he would do press downs, he would tighten them to keep his spine straight. That obviously makes sense. They are the muscles of the core, so they stabilize everything. So they're always at attention when you're working everything. And some people just, it depends on the structure too. There's something called the linea alba and the lines that go across, and that's what gives you like the six pack or the eight pack. Some people's are deeper than others. Some guys can get super, super lean, and they're not going to, their abs are not going to be as deep. For those guys, I recommend they use some weight resistance. Okay. Some people ask, should I do weight? Should I not do weight? That partly does depend on genetics and how deep your linea alba is and the other lines that cross that. Those fibrous lines. That also delegates whether your abdominals are going to be even or not. Going back to the biceps, though, indirect work, I mean, if you're doing chin-ups, if you're doing pull-downs, if you're doing long rows, if you're doing deadlifts, you're hitting the biceps all the time. So, again, you've got to be mindful, and you're looking at the king of overtrained individuals. There was a time, listen, if I didn't have weights, I'd be a no-home, walking the street, alcoholic bum. I might be a couple of those things anyhow, right about now. But hey, listen, I've never had a beer. I've never seen cocaine. I've never smoked pot. Everything else, I'm off the record. You know, if you really think about it, and getting back to biceps for a second, you've got to really decide what you're all about, what you're training for. If you don't know why you're going to the gym, some people, it's just they're happy they got there. I usually focus on myself, but you know, people fall into my line of vision, and you can see it's just a heartless pantomime for a lot of people. They're going through the motions. There's no intensity. What is intensity? I mean, there's a lot of definitions for that. But to me, it's profuse focus, singleness of mind, and a vision of what I want. And believe me, I've got naysayers, like Arnold says, and you know, you get some hate mail and this and that. You know, it still stings a little, but it's fuel. And I go in there, and you know what I do when I'm working my bicep? You really want to know what I do to get that bicep to peak? I attach an emotion to it. Do this for any body part. I guarantee you. I love my mother. I love Denise. I love my dog. Okay. Those three I'll take a bullet for. You know, I mean, I'm no soldier. I'm no beast. You're not in the fucking gym like a soldier. You're not in Afghanistan. Stop that shit. You're moving a bunch of inert weight around. Can't hit back. However, let's attach something to it. When I'm doing those, when I'm thinking about stopping, because you know, you only get the results from the last few reps, okay? Like Evan says, you know what Evan says? He says, look, Mike, find the hardest fucking thing there is that you hate to do. I'll go back to my mother in a second. Find the hardest thing that you hate, the shittiest soul-sucking exercise, squats, bent over rows, T-bar rows, that shit that makes you, you know, vomit. Or whatever, and go do that and do it hard. And then you know what you do when you're resting? Go find something that's fucking harder to do, and you'll get results. If you're not getting results, you're finding the path of least resistance. One of my inspirations, Les Brown, one of the best speakers, he says, listen, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Life be hard being paradoxically speaking, you're not going to get results if you do what's easy. So find the shit that you really don't like to do. Getting back to my mother, let's say I'm doing T-bar rows and I want to quit. You know what I do? In my head, I say, you know, if I don't finish this set, if I don't totally infuse this bicep with blood, if I don't feel, I mean, remember, we're not going into the area where we injure ourselves. We don't want pain. We want discomfort. There's a difference. All this no pain, no gain stuff. Listen, again, I've never been injured lifting weights, and I've never even dropped a fucking plate in my toe, okay? Nothing. Doesn't mean I don't train hard, okay? Oh, Dusa trains like a pussy. I've heard that too, all right? That's fine. In some cases, if I train like a pussy, and being a pussy means I'm not you, then I'm the biggest motherfucking pussy there is. How's that sound for pussy, all right? Because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm all about. But listen, I attach my dear mother. In my mind, my mother dies if I don't finish that fucking rep, if I don't get everything I can out of it. If I don't get past that bullshit that you're 54 and you're not supposed to look that, you know, what do you, why are you doing this? What are you all about? You still wear spandex. You wear, fuck, I wear 40-year-old t-shirts, motherfucker. I mean, what difference does it make? If you're concentrating on my ass, guess what? You're not doing too well. You know, what is your business? What are you all about? We're here talking about peak biceps tonight, but everything I'm talking about ties into going back to that bicep and why it's not peaking for you. Okay. I think ultimately it comes down to a matter of focus and purpose and why the fuck you get out of bed every day and what you're all about. What are you all about? What is your business? Okay. So when I go in there, listen, you hear how I'm talking now? Denise will tell you, it's all day in this house, all day. She came in here one day, she heard arguing. And she comes up, she goes, who's here? I go, nobody. I'm arguing with, I'm practicing an argument that I'm going to have later. So I'm very loquacious. However, in the gym, I have a couple of friends now, Roman and Steve. Roman's my photographer. Okay, listen, Roman, Versace, if you need bodybuilding or any type of photography, and his brother Steve, they have worked with the biggest agencies in the world, Calvin Klein, all these other big New York companies, okay? The big time. And they're right in Powerhouse, okay? Hire him, man. Hire him, all right? If you want to, listen, Zane said it himself. He said, listen, the only thing you got to remember who you were are photographs. You see photographs of me all over the place in here, right? That's my little narcissistic room. You don't like it, don't come in, all right? It's for me. It keeps me going, man. It's my why. I mean, it reminds me, all right? But Roman said to me, we became friends. He goes, yo, man, before you talked to me, I thought you were like a murderer. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, my personage, what I put off was, you know, kind of like a scowl. I don't need headphones. You know, I don't have to like be unclean and put out body odor so people don't come near me. People just know, they can see when you're focused and they don't bother you. I'm not there to grab ass and talk. I'll say hello, this and that. That's why I get results. I think I can get much better results. I think I can be much better than I am. I think I can be, I tell Denise, I'm at 85%. She's like, oh no, man, when you get to 95%, does that mean you're low cal and all pissed off and yelling at the dogs? I'm like, no, honey, come on. I'm all sweetness and sugar, you know that. No, I just think that I really know that I got, you know, like Stallone says, I got a lot left in the basement, because what I know now, I did not know. Man, I've been doing this for so long. I didn't know in the 70s. I didn't know in the 80s. And listen, very little gray, and it's all mine. So pretty good genetics. And there's genetics again. I just think that, you know, learning as much as I can every single day, and learning from you. I've got some great guys on here. I've got Joel Preston. I've got Aaron Witten. I've got Alan Rogers, Gary Casaccio, Steve Shoshana. Some of the best guys in the industry. Samir Banu, Robbie Robinson. I know these guys personally. I've worked with them. I learned from them. I'm humbled by them. I'm sometimes dissed by them. It's okay. Okay, I'm not going to die. I am not struggling for motherfucking bread in Bangladesh today. Okay, Lance Stranahan, an amazing individual that I've become friend. You know, he's one of those guys. You know, this is the world of Facebook. But if I live near him, we truly be friends. And I don't have many that I call friends. You know, he resonates. The guy has done so much. And I think he's a year older than me, but you know, he's still preserved, still in great shape. And he's done some marvelous things with his life. But it all stems from taking care of himself. And it goes back to the bicep peak. And you can see a little bit of a split right there, okay? I don't know how good the light is in here. I don't know if I'm looking impressive. It doesn't really matter. I told Denise, look, you know, somebody was saying this or that about me. I'm like, you want to know what? It's like Frank Zane said, you know, there was a competitor on here. I don't remember who it was, one of the top guys. And he said, and I'll leave you with this because we're going to go to chat in a second. We're almost at 45 minutes, which I think is pretty good. I think started out a little rocky. I hope you're getting something from this. But listen, you can tell I'm sincere. I don't like fucking bullshit. I'm trying to discover the code to my own personal happiness. Being the best I could be, feeling good. I'm happiest when I'm in top shape. Okay? I mean, other things make me happy too, but that's where it all starts. Me, the soma. Okay? Obviously. I think that's Latin for body. I might be wrong. But you know what I mean. But this one guy said, top competitor, he says he'd see Zane working out. And he said, he doesn't look that good. He doesn't look big at all. He saw him in the steam room. Oh man, he looks skinny. He saw him, I don't know, giving a lecture. My God, he's wearing you're welcome, Lance, bro, Lance, man. Talking to you, it does me well. Lance just gave me a little message. He said, thanks for the props. Lance, good man. What a good, I'm glad people like him exist. The world is fucked up right now, man. But you know what? Most people are good. I don't run into any riots. I don't see any ISIS around here. None of that shit ever comes to me. I don't watch the news. Fuck them. Full of shit. You should watch my channel. But this guy said, I saw Zane here. I saw Zane there. I saw him backstage at the Olympia, kind of in the shadows. He goes, no, Boyer Coe's going to blow him out. Frank Zane walks on stage, and he was like a moving statue. There's a post for you. Zane's kind of like that. A little smaller nose, a little younger, 100 times better. And the guy sitting there, he says, I could never beat that. So he told Zane that story, and Zane said, look, I'm not going to mention the guy's name because he's now blocked from here. I've only blocked about 10 people in my life because, believe me, when I get loggerheads with somebody, it's a challenge to me to win them back, okay? I think everybody has a redeeming value. I think most people are good. They wake up good, and they want to do the right thing. By the end of the day, they fuck up, and they're douchebags, and they say bad things, and I clip them like cancer, okay, like the most precise of surgeons. So he told us to Zane, he says, you look like shit all year. I think he said that to him. He goes, and tonight you could be beat. And he looked at me, he says, I only have to look good enough to beat you one day of the year. The rest of the year you can do what you want. Because that's what he's all about, okay? He knows his why, okay? And it's kind of like me. I'm not worried about, I do it for me. Some people are like, oh, that guy, he's skinny. Why does he have a webinar? Blah, blah, blah. Because you want to know what? I got some of these fit pros, and I don't even really know many of these guys, and they know a lot, and they don't chime in on my stuff, and I don't know if it's jealousy or some stupid shit. And you know what I tell them? I go, I don't know much. And we're going to go to chat right after this because I said after 45 minutes we're going to go to chat, and I've got even more people on here now, so that's good. So people are not getting bored. They're staying on here. Or maybe they're just seeing if I get darker from blood pressure. Tanning every day, man. For 40 years, and I got no skin problems, so fuck that cancer shit. All right, I'll fuck that cancer up, man. Don't need to be telling me that. Going back to that, I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say just now, I was going to give you something really good about that. Shit. Bicep Peak. I hope I told you a few things. The videos. You're going to be able to go back to this. Let's find the chat on here now. Chat and see who we got on here. Gary, can you hear anything now? Dave says there he is, but can you guys hear me? Anybody, if you're here? Buck is here, Mark is here, Gary's here, Dave's here. I'm hoping you're able to hear this tonight. Anybody on right now? Matt Welch. There you go. Dean Jarvis is here. Joe, all good info. Thank you for sharing your story. Debbie, yes. Okay, Matt can hear me. So if we have any questions at all, there he is. Hey, Dave. Dave Malik, one of my best. Dave has lost over 100 pounds. Dave has really done what most people will never, ever be able to do. And Dave gave me a good compliment. He said that he's been doing a lot of my exercises and they're helping. James wants to know how many exercises for arms, reps, sets, how many times a week. I'll tell you that's a good. Now I'm getting a zillion questions. Okay, okay, I'm gonna get to as many of these as I can. How many times per week? At my age now, recuperation's a big thing. I'm really big on sleep, proper nutrition. I do the same things every day. I hit my arms really hard once a week. I did ask top trainer Gordon Falsetti a while back. He helped me a lot this year, Gordon, if you're listening. Gordon's one of the best around here in Greater New Haven. You want to hire him. Evan, I endorse those guys, and I think most people suck. But I asked Gordon, he was training a guy, and he was doing body parts twice a week. And I said, what's up? He goes, well, he's 25 years younger than you. So, James, as far as that goes, how many exercises for arms? I'll usually do 2 or 3 exercises. I like doing supersets, and you probably know what those are, where you do set after set. Let's say it's a preacher curl, dumbbell curl, maybe a cable curl. You do 1, 2, 3, and then you go back 1, 2, 3, then you go back 1, 2, 3. Maybe 9 sets for bicep. It's not a big muscle. but I keep the intensity high and the rapidity the quickness there. I don't take a long rest. It's a higher intensity. It's a fat burning effect, and that's my cardio. I've dropped cardio. I think I was going to say earlier, I had the record 7 hours on a Stairmaster years ago. I was wearing one of those plastic sweatsuits with the elastic here, and I could pull the elastic, and there would be a cascade, like a waterfall. I would sweat probably, I don't know, 15 pounds off. Why did I do that? I don't remember. But it was probably because I wasn't a drinker and I was in business, and life is harsh. Physiologically, was that no? That's absolutely insane. I should lose all my licenses if I ever told anybody to do that. But going back to arms, 2 or 3 exercises. I will say this: each workout should be different, in my opinion. My abdominal, we'll go over that. I have over 100 different abdominal exercises that I do. Okay. Each workout, I'll do 3 to 6 different exercises, and I'll do one exercise, each one of them just once. Okay, some of them are weighted, some of them are free body, some of them are kinetic. I'm on the floor. It really depends. I always go by how I feel, and I go by my results. And again, there is a difference as far as recuperation, Jim. How often there's muscle soreness and there's joint pain. And there's a difference between the two. And there's lactic acid buildup. There's hydration, replacement of nutrients. There's a lot of issues, but you really got to have a good sense of self and what you respond to and what your goal is. But as far as, back in the day, man, we would do each body part 3 times a week. High volume, 2-hour workouts, crazy, crazy stuff. And, Arnold, 4-hour workouts, and Arnold was Arnold. So work back then. Did the human body change in all that time? No. Let's see. Lance, what do you think that along with regular arm workout, throwing in another session during the week, doing some higher reps, going for a pump? I recall during my competition days, this seems to bring up my arms. I do agree, actually, Lance, and I learned from Evan. I probably went too light for too long because it was more of a shaping Zane Parson. I'm not dissing Zane, but the reason I have so much room for improvement is I went so light early in my life. I never injured myself. A friend of mine in New York, chiropractor, took a full body X-ray of me a few years ago, and he says, your skeleton looks like that of a 20-year-old. I don't have a lot of, other than injuries, I don't have a lot of degeneration. So because of that, Lance, to answer that, if I were to do that, I would go one day really heavy, whatever that means for the individual, for biceps, and the next day I would do like an infusion of blood pump workout for arms. I would definitely do that. But again, you always go by how the outcome is. How you improve from that, and then your bodily response, and is it in alignment with your goals? As long as you're not doing damage, that's an oath I took somewhere along the line. I took an oath to do no harm. Dave, love all those exercises, learn them from you, and I'm seeing great results. Great job, thanks. Listen, if this sucks, I'll make changes. I do a lot of rambling, but again, I wanna make sure you get something, even if you take one thing out of this, man. Maybe if it means you never want to tune into this again, then you know what to stay away from. Hopefully I didn't steal your time. What do I think about the preacher curls that bring out the peak? Preacher curls are awesome. I will tell you this, though, and I've learned this from Doug Brignoli. I'm going to have Doug Brignoli on here as a guest. Hopefully you guys know who he is. He's probably one of the smartest bodybuilders. Buy his book, The Physics of Fitness. He just wrote, one of the best bodybuilders of all time. A little older than me. He's out in California. But he and I talked about this on a podcast I did with him. And as far as preacher curls go, with a free bar, that's okay. But you're safer using a cable because of the continuous tension and the non-jerking. It's kind of like, I was talking to Gordon about this. When you think of deadlifts, and some people, they'll do the reverse grip like this, as opposed to having both palms forward. You're better off not having that reverse, because one of the tendons is more susceptible to injury. And this is a similar premise with preacher curls when you're using a bar versus continuous tension with a cable and a stack of weights. So preacher curls are good. They help to isolate the bicep if you're focusing on it, okay? Because one of the things the bicep does is it helps to bring the shoulder forward. So obviously you're putting that on the preacher bench, okay? So you're putting that bicep into action right there. And with the continuous tension of the cable, there's less of a coefficient of injury. Remember, my number one thing is, especially with the population I work with, You want to avoid injury. I mean, I know that's kind of lame, and some people are like, well, you know, why aren't you talking about getting big or getting jacked or getting wide back? Yeah, that stuff's all going to come. But listen, look, there was a time I'd go up to people in the gym and I would just give them unsolicited advice if I saw them doing something wrong. It's unappreciated. These days, somebody will pull a gun and pop a cap in your head. So I don't say anything. Unless somebody's going to de-spine themselves, I don't say anything. But I see people all day hurting themselves. And listen, I've had two open repair on my rotator cuffs. The shoulder is the worst joint to injure, in my opinion. It has among the most range of any other joint. But when you lose that range, there's very little you can do. And then you're out of the gym. You're out of the gym for 6 months to a year. You're not doing anything overhead. If your doctor's worth any salt, you have rotator cuff repair, you are not doing anything overhead. You could be a rank and file member of Dumbass Incorporated and go do them anyhow and fuck yourself up again. But again, do no harm. So preacher curls, they're good. For me, I like to use cable, okay? And I keep continuous tension on there. And you know what I do? Here's a good tip. I do my reps. And at the end, I hold and I squeeze as hard as I can. The good thing is at Powerhouse New Haven, they have this digital clock on the wall, and I watch it the whole time. And I squeeze and I hold and I squeeze and I hold for 15 seconds after doing 12 or 15 reps. Now let me tell you, the burn. I got to think of my dear mama and how much I love her. And if I don't hold on to that, and if I let it go, my mother dies. I didn't finish that story earlier. Attaching an emotional component to a rep. That's what I forgot. I left that out. I'm sorry. I'm doing that rep, and no matter what, if I don't finish it, my doggy dies, or Denise leaves me, or kicks me out. Or, hey, look, I've lived in my car. I lived in the Y. I slept in a friend's garage for a while. He never, to this day, doesn't know. I'm too embarrassed to tell him. He's probably going to figure that out now. I've lived in a big house. I've made a lot of money. I've lost money. But listen, I always have myself. So when I'm in the trenches and I'm doing that movement, I've got to get it done. So I attach something that's dear to me to it. And I don't want to get injured. I want to finish it. I want to look good. I'm all done being injured. That's it. Next time I'm injured, I'm going to be in the pine box, and I'm all done. Let's see. Mike, I do chest and bis. I do chest and biceps, chest and biceps. Should I do biceps then chest? No, actually, I do chest and bicep together as well. And, you know, the larger muscle group, the chest, you want to do that first. If you think about it, if you tire out your arms, it's going to be harder to work the chest. It does depend on what exercises you're doing. There's always variations. Like I said earlier, you always want to do a different workout every single time. Sequentially, that's okay, but there's certain body parts that have to come first, and usually the bigger body parts that entail a bigger energy expenditure will come first, and the smaller body parts are after. But remember, Deb, always go by your results. Always go by how you feel, and find one person. It might be me. It might be somebody else, and get advice from them. Don't take. You've got people, especially people who hire coaches. Gordon was telling me this. You know, they'll take advice and then they talk to somebody else, and there's 100 ways to do something, and then you're mixing this all up, and you're totally confused, and you know, you just turn into a pile of shit, and you get no results, and you know, or you get adverse results. So, you know, as far as that goes, though, yeah, keep your chest first, biceps second. Al Rogers, thanks for the shout out. Glad to be on board learning. I want to be your ally when I travel to Canada. Mum is very useful. I don't really know what that means. But listen, for all of you who stayed on, we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to be emailing you a free gift. I think you're really going to like it. I put a lot of work into it. For only the people who stay to the end, we've got about 5 minutes left. I see another question here, but it's awfully hard to read. Listen, I'm a citizen of the world. I love everyone, but English is the only language I understand. So if you could have somebody translate that. But if there are any other questions on biceps, there's about 5 minutes left. Again, I've got a couple of other, I actually worked with Bill Grant this year. Great guy. One of the icons of bodybuilding from pumping iron. Bill is now 71. And you could go on my board and see pictures of me and him, and his arms are 2 inches bigger than mine. And the nicest guy, family man. I've had opportunities to work with other people of maybe higher prominence, but they're assholes. And guess what? I don't give a fuck if you have the map to the golden fleece. If you're a douche, I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna pollute my day with you, man. You know, some people say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do it with that one, this one? I'm like, it's not gonna happen. Dave, you have whose book? Do you have Doug Brignoli's book, Physics of Fitness? If so, that's fantastic. Lance, do you ever superset biceps? For example, a machine curl immediately followed by dumbbell curls. Yeah, I do. Actually, you know, it's kind of funny. I did that yesterday. I had to steal the 15-pounders. That doesn't sound like a lot of dumbbells, but I had already done heavy barbell curls. And then I went over to the preacher stack with the cable, and I did cable curls with a 15-second hold. And I would stand up, and actually I did bent over concentration curls. You know, those old Arnold curls. I felt pretty proud of myself. I mean, I was looking at that arm, and you know, the vein was popping and all that. You know, calorie deficit, you tend to start imagining things and how you look, and as opposed to how you really do look. Let's see. I'm pumped for my next bicep workout for sure. And listen, thanks, Joe. I've got I mentioned Bill Grant and Rich Gaspari. I've got great videos with them. We're going to split this up. We were going to mix abs in and all that. And if you guys like this, please talk it up on the boards, because a lot of people, they're not home, or I'm on Facebook all day. This is what I do. I do work. People like to have fun with me. You know, look, my electric is burning, meaning I'm paying bills. So obviously I'm generating money, and that's not the point. But I've got some great videos. Listen, Bill and I were doing curls. I think we were doing machine curls or something. Bill has probably top 5 biceps in history. And somebody chimed in, one of these Fit Pro guys, a nice guy, smart guy, but he says, well, I'd probably do it a little different, but I'll just leave that alone. I'm like, look, man, when does it finally fucking get good for you? You're talking about Bill Grant, one of the best in history. That's like Arnold calling me at 3 a.m. Mike, I got the secret to bicep. That's not a good imitation. I'm sorry. I'm going to hang up on Arnold and say, no, you don't. No, eventually, you know, listen, Zane says it best. He says he does not follow theory, okay, the way things should be done. He says, listen, as long as you're biomechanically correct, posturally correct, and you're not feeling pain, and you're doing a movement which shouldn't be affecting that body part, yet you're getting results from it, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and fucking do it. I already told you, I have over 100 ways to do my abs. So, you know, are those going to, listen, some people can't squat. They cannot squat. Their femurs are not positioned properly. It throws the pelvis off. So it's one of the best overall exercises. But guess what? There are some people who can't. I advise them against doing that. It just never feels right. I used to have patients come into my practice all the time. One of the reasons why I'm not practicing anymore. And they say, Doc, you know, when I do this, it hurts. So when I go, well, don't do it. And there was more to it than that. And sure enough, I'd be at the gym, and I'd see them out of the corner of my eye, and they'd be fucking doing that again. You know, because they think because you're supposed to bench, no, you're not necessarily. Your body may not be in the proper conformity for that movement. You know, find out what works. There's a guy in Montana right now, baling hay. Good old boy, drinking milk right from the cow's fucking udder. And he looks better than the guy who just won the Mr. Olympia. And he doesn't even know why. It's just from ancillary movement all day, okay? And the body doesn't really work that way. But listen, the body doesn't know. You've got to teach it. You've got to find out what's best for you. I'm learning all the time. I know very little. In my closing statement here, listen, maybe I'm working with people who know less than me, okay? And I don't know a lot, but I know enough to teach you. Once you learn what I know, then we'll send you off to the big, real smart guys, and you can move up the ladder a little bit. I hope this helped you tonight. I'm really happy. I'm pretty invigorated doing this. I think it's good information. I've got good videos coming. We're going to end up in a few seconds here. For all of you who've joined me and stayed with me, which quite a few of you, thank you very much. You're going to get something free from me, a free gift very soon, and you have a great night. Doc Dusa, signing out. Thank you.